Good morning. Well, 15 more minutes of this morning left. It's wonderful and sunny. The sun's come out. I've been cleaning my windows internally, externally. I'm breaking one of them in the process. Well, that's a new window I need to get. Anyway, dear me. Anyway, the sun's coming out soon. I might go out and cut my lawn probably for the very last time of 2023. Yeah, it is that year. I'm getting confused. Anyway, I got a little message last night from a guy called Dennis. Hello, Dennis. About Lloyd Evans. Now, I've completely forgot about the greatly useless lump of lard, the Workshire lazy bastard who lives in Croatia, because it's more involved with all the things relating to all things witnessy. So I thought, he's just him and what he does are just insignificant. A little bit like his channel. However, there was a long rant that he put up on the channel update a day ago, so I think it went up yesterday. I was told about it, and I just read it this morning. Now, if you've not read it, I was deciding whether or not to read this, but I thought I'd read it anyway because I've got a spare bit of time before I got a mow the lawn. I'll give my views afterwards. Anyway, I'll read it for those who can't be bothered reading it anyway, and don't obviously want to go into his channel. So, channel update. In my recent Aftermath video, I mentioned ongoing legal action against a so-called Magnificent Seven. Now, Lloyd, one thing here, talking about, remember he's put that copyright strike against one of my videos because I dared to use something he referred to being as one of his little thumbnails. He says it was copyright on that. Well, it was me who coined that phrase for the 7 individuals who he cherry-picked out of the 12 that he was originally trying to extort money out of, including me, and it was me who coined them the Magnificent Seven. So, Lloyd, if you're watching this video, I don't know what to do about this. Maybe I should seek legal advice, that he's actually using my own copyrighted phrase, and you can actually do a timestamp to show the very first time I said this, to show that I did coin this phrase for these 7, and he's breaking my copyright, I think. Yeah, anyway, other people can sort that one out. Anyway, cracking on. And he names these 7: Kim, Silvio, Mark and Cora Latham, Mick and Mike and Kim Brooks, Jonathan Berger and Joel Martz, who were most instrumental, not really true here, but anyway, who were most instrumental in starting a defamation campaign. Again, not true, it wasn't a defamation campaign, it was just a load of different individuals, including myself and other people around the world who were told by him to judge him, to pass judgment on what they thought in relation to the things that he admitted himself in a live stream. So it wasn't a defamation campaign. All these people and me and other people never started getting together here and say, right, you say that day. Everybody had their own different opinion. Some of the opinions are actually completely different. Some of the things that other people said disagreed with me and I disagreed with them. It wasn't a defamation campaign. It wasn't like a spirited, organised campaign. It was just different people at different times on Twitter or on YouTube saying this is what they thought about the whole Lloyd Evans sex scandal. And to prove therefore it wasn't a defamation campaign is that recently we had somebody put just a small segment on Reddit, and then all of a sudden you had a load of worldly people thinking, oh my god, who is this guy? And then coming out with exactly the same things that we'd done, like, whenever it was, 18 months ago or whatever. So show it's not. People giving their opinion doesn't constitute a campaign. It's just people giving their opinion. So basically, this is again complete and utter bollocks. It makes it look like there was a concerted effort by, the axis of evils to, I don't know, invade Poland, for instance, or North Africa. It's just utter bollocks. It's just different people on their own giving their opinion, as people still do today. Earlier, that has greatly impacted my work and mental health, and ultimately contributed to the closure of my production company, Ipsilon Media. Right, now, to be honest with you, this is a little bit like Harvey Weinstein, I think he's rotting in a jail at the moment, actually trying to sue the people who broke the story about what a sort of guy he really was. Now, of course, we get a lot of people because there's literally 500 comments on this. I'm not going to wait to him because obviously he just spends a lot of time, all the negative ones, banning, or not banning them, but hiding their comments on this YouTube channel so nobody else gets to see them. And when you go onto the channel, you think, oh, my comments are still there. No, they're not. He's hidden them, so the only person who can see you is you and him. So there's 500 pro messages to this work shy lazy bastard in relation to this. So quite often they still come onto my channel and say, but he did some fine work. You know, I won't have anything said about him. He did some fine work. Well, I'm sure. Lots of people did some fine work. I'm sure Jimmy Savile actually did fix it for some people. I'm sure he did. I'm sure people thinking, oh, I got to play against Manchester United, or did this, or got to meet Evel Knievel, or whatever. But just because you did some good things, I'm afraid when you get found out that you did some bloody horrible things, it doesn't matter what good you did. Even Harvey Weinstein, for instance, he was executive producer of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, maybe the Hobbit trilogy. However, just because he did these good things and other great films as well, it doesn't go, you can't hide the fact of the things that he did. And it's a bit like Harvey Weinstein actually trying to now blame other people for him being in prison instead of himself, instead of saying, yeah, it is my fault, I'm personally responsible, there has been a decline in my physical health, my mental health, my income, my credits on, there always say Harvey Weinstein on Lord of the Rings films, haven't erased that bit, yes, and blaming everybody else apart from himself. And this is exactly the same thing here. I'll come back to a little bit he said about this. This is probably the crux of, this is the real way this case falls on its arse. When the case was initially filed last year, my lawyers were working to an extremely tight timescale because there was a statute of limitation for criminal proceedings of 3 months from the initial criminal act. Kim Silver's Reddit post dated January the 31st. Initial criminal act? Sorry, somebody just saying, so all these other guys as well went around giving their, that's a criminal act. And yet, as we know, Lloyd Evans has put up loads of videos, trying to destroy other people's reputations, members of the Watchtower. So every time that they went on and said, I think this guy hates children, this guy clearly has a drink problem, as soon as he did a video, did they constitute a criminal act? Because clearly it was a defamation campaign by Lloyd Evans trying to bring down, these individual members of the governing body. So does that constitute a criminal act? Food for thought. So they succeeded in filing an abridged lawsuit at the end of April 2022 within the deadline, but due to the overwhelming volume of evidence, mostly requiring translation into Croatian by court interpreters in the form of YouTube videos, Reddit posts and forum threads, my lawyers, oh for the love of God, we'd love to see these lawyers. As we know, the last group of lawyers that you had, this guy Carlo Novosa, whatever the fuck his name was, we're all supposed to say, oh, I'm just responding to your email. He never responded. Some people left a voice message for this guy to ring back and he never did. So if it's the same bunch, wowie. So Ryder Court issuing a summons for more thorough supporting documentation so that proceedings could start. We could have not known it would take 15 months for the summons to be issued, during which time the defamation campaign, snowballed further, both in the intensity of online hate and its damage to me and my work, and various creators sniffing blood in the water. I think that's a reference to me, and various creators sniffing blood in the water and joining the dog pile by platforming the Magnificent Seven. Again, issues in my phrase, fucking hell! Fucking copyright, slap a copyright ban and bring down his own channel. I came up with that phrase, you fucking, get your own phrase, you useless bastard. Earlier this month, the court finally issued the summons with an 8-day deadline for a response. Yesterday, my lawyers were able to file a 64-page response within the deadline detailing the lies and insinuations that were spread, specifically by which individuals and the harm this undeniably caused. They've called for evidence to be presented to the court, including not only YouTube videos, tweets or X posts and forum comments, but also financial statements showing the losses the company suffered before it was forced to close, and medical records to show the impact on my health. Right, okay, I'll do it at this point. I don't know whether it comes up a bit later on. So we just want to say this bit about the impact on my health. Now, the problem with this is because Kim Silvio did this Reddit post after Lloyd had done the video, and apparently the video went up when he was in Thailand, I believe, or had already been to Thailand. This is the problem where this goes wrong for Lloyd, is because in that video, if you'll remember it rightly, he said he was going to have to take a break, and that he was going to have to sort out his head, because it wasn't working for him anymore. He says doing this all JW activism wasn't working for him or his family, and maybe he was trying to call it a day. Now that was, he put that in. So in other words, he, at this point, on that video, which I think Kim said was recorded before he went to Thailand, he said he was suffering from what do you call it? His health, his mental health was suffering, and probably his physical health was suffering too. And then he decided, being Father of the Year, to leave the children and the family after Christmas to go to, of all places, for somebody who has a prostitute addiction, go to Thailand, a place that's infamous for sex trafficking of especially underage boys and girls. He decided to go there, and according to his own admission, while over there, apparently, I think he said there was an attempt at suicide. According to his own admission, I believe, don't quote me on this, or you can quote me on this because he did say this, that he dated a sex worker. Okay, so all these things occurred, this maybe attempt on suicide, struggles with his mental health, before Kim Silvio told us the real reason why he'd taken the break. Now let's think about this. If Lloyd Evans at that point, the very last video he'd done said, that's it, it's affecting my mental and physical health, it's impacting on my family, I'll leave all the videos up, but now I'm going to step away from the channel, and I'm going to do something which for me is, you know, probably the worst thing ever. I'm going to actually have to do a decent day's work and go out and get a job. I'm just going to go off to Thailand in the meantime and sort out my other head. But that never happened. Now, how different the world would have been, well, the world according to Lloyd Evans, because maybe Kim thinking, I tell you what, fucking, you know, don't, you know, the guy's down and out, and maybe he's going to come back, sort out the, you know, his mess with his family, before Kim obviously knew that he'd been involved with the Thai prostitutes, because I believe it was Lloyd's wife eventually passed on to somebody else. I'm not saying who it was. Unfortunately, the pictures of him, and was that a prostitute, or was that the sex worker he dated, or sex worker he paid in that bar, wherever it was, and unfortunately it got uploaded back at home, who then I believe is his wife, who then spread it far and wide. So in other words, Lloyd, and maybe it shouldn't be the Magnificent Seven anymore, because as like I said in my last song about Imagine There's No Evans, there's always room for one more, and maybe the other person he's stopped to sue is his wife, because I would have thought that his own wife, in leaking those photographs, which are now out in the internet, which is an unforgiving place, and there's a long memory, as we all know, it was his own wife who leaked those pictures. So maybe he should be suing her, because when it comes to damage done, I think those photos, probably more than anything else, did the damage, because there was undeniable proof right there and then that he wasn't just over there doing some diving, or muff diving, that he was doing some diving and taking in the wonderful, the vista, but instead he was going down to the seedy bars where he was obviously deciding to date a girl with the intention of eventually making her into an honest woman, him into an honest man, and marrying her, because that's what you do when you date someone, don't you? It's the intention of forming a relationship to eventually say, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Anyway, let's not get back to that, it's a bit silly. But anyway, how different things would have been. Because maybe Kim would have not blown the lid on Reddit. Maybe it'll be the great mystery of whatever happened to Lloyd Evans, and we'll never ever know. And we just know that Lloyd carried on, managed to sort things out with his wife, with his family, and went and started growing big juicy tomatoes in Croatia, and that was the end of Lloyd Evans. Who's that guy? Remember that guy Lloyd Evans? Remember it? Yeah, remember it. Yeah, the big guy with the big chin, the big chin, the hairy chin. Remember the big nose? Remember him? Yeah. He just all of a sudden just went, whatever happened to him, don't know, who cares? Because things would have moved on. However, of course, he couldn't let it go. He decided, you know what, doing a hard day's work isn't for me. Tomatoes you can only grow in certain parts of the season. What we're going to do in the autumn and the winter when it gets quite cold in Croatia, and how am I going to pay for the prostitutes? So anyway, that was his choice to eventually come back. And then, of course, for Kim to go, what the fuck? And then her do the Reddit, which just blew the whole thing wide open. That was his choice to do that. I'm sure he's now regretting that decision because, of course, every subsequent thing that he's done, you know, when he mentions a little later on that the thing, you know, the impact it's going to have on his legacy and with his girls. The internet is an unforgiving place, and every time he does something like this, there are more bloody social media footprints all over the place. So, for the love of God, wowee. Anyway, the amended lawsuit now calls for the defendants to face criminal punishment under Croatian law. Good job trying to. Imagine you'll get found guilty. How is he going to then? How is he then going to get these people in Britain and in America to actually then decide, oh, I tell you what, in Croatia, you know, you've all been found guilty because none of you bothered to, you know, send representation in court or turn up in court, and there was no defence lawyer. You've all been found guilty. You all owe Lloyd Evans 20,000 each. Good luck in trying to enforce that one in Britain or in America, and even in America, different states have different laws. Good luck with that one, Lloyd, for fuck's sake. 10 claims or insinuations in particular during the 3 months from January the 31st, 2022. These are, and here they are, language comparing me to a rapist, claims that I exploit people. Hold on a second, let me think about this. Claims you exploit people. I think anybody who pays who illegally exploits people by paying somebody money who's being exploited to render sexual services, I think you are continuing the exploitation. To be honest with you, a lot of these girls that we know in Thailand are part of the sex industry, and for a young age they may have been sex trafficked, they've been exploited, they're exploited now, and to think that if you go then and actually then just pay who the pimp is or the brothel keeper is, you're continuing the exploitation. To say that you're not exploiting these women is frankly absurd. Claims I visited Thailand for sex tourism. He said he dated a sex worker. So how in the world can he say that he never, that when he was in Thailand that there was no sexual impropriety at all, that there wasn't anything going in or out in various different places? How can he can say that he visited Thailand for sex tourism if he is, Thailand's known for his sex tourism, to actually then admit that he went over there and dated a sex worker? Oh my God, if he just stayed in a wee hut and there's just pictures of him there and with his fish in this, his feet in the, getting tickled by the fish in the sea, or doing other forms of diving, I would get it. If he'd gone to Wales and stayed in a wee Welsh cottage and all the sheep had stayed away from Lloyd Evans, I would get it. The fact there's a picture of him in some seedy bar with a lassie who, God knows how old she actually really is, Fuck me. So, claims that I am or was involved, connected to or otherwise permissive of sex relations with minors or potentially involved in sex relations with minors or sex trafficking. Again, claims he admitted he dated a sex worker. Them's the pictures leaked by his own wife, and we don't know how old she was. We don't know if she was sex trafficked. Does he know? Does he even remember her name? Did he even look at some, you know, she probably hasn't got a passport to say, well, how long, you know, did she, when he was dating her, when he went out for lunch with her and was paying, you know, when he was saying to the pimp, I'm going to date this lassie, how much an hour is it to take her out for a meal? Did he actually say, well, tell me about your life then. How did you end up in working as a prostitute in a brothel, in some of these bars? What happened? Tell me about your life. How old are you? Where's your mum and your dad? Have you got brothers and sisters? Did you go to school? Sort of the things that you want to know about somebody before you then decide that you want to further the relationship, because after all, he wasn't paying for sex over there. He was only dating a sex worker. Sorry, if I'm getting all this wrong, please let me know I'm getting this wrong, because I'm reading this. I think I've only read this once late last night, so I'm only going through this for the first time, so I might even get you know. Claims I was earning a six-figure salary. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure there's a way to find out what he was earning. If we can get all the full documentation of exactly what his company was earning, I'm sure those records, if it was registered in Britain or Croatia, can be at some point revealed if it eventually goes to court. Claims I was recording all the monthly content for my YouTube channel in one day. Well, goodness sake, potentially he did, and then he left all the rest to gracious Tibor to get on with editing. He could have done all the recordings one day. Bang, 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 bang. Tibor, off you go, mate. I'm going off to the nearest brothel. Don't really know. Claims I was receiving 3,000 per live stream. Well, again, I think one of the live streams he did do, the meltdown video live stream, I think somebody's already figured out how much money he earned on that one. So maybe it was 3,000, because I know a lot of people were giving this guy a lot of money. Claims that I lied to my subscribers and patrons. Well, at the end of the day, Lloyd, you said to your patrons and subscribers that all the money that came in through the patrons, the YouTube videos, and the selling of those god-awful t-shirts was to go back into churning out more content. At the end of the day, you never said to your patrons and your YouTube subscribers, oh, by the way, a proportion of the money that I use is going to buy a new camera, pay for Tibor's wages, pay for my hotel accommodation, and also to finance my rather expensive trip to leave the family just after Christmas to go to Thailand to date a sex worker. It's also paid for every time that I've been away from the family home, doing things, saying, hi, this is Lloyd, I'm in New York, hello, I'm now, you know, in London. That obviously, as by his own admission, that he was then cheating on his wife by paying for prostitutes then. So he doesn't have a separate income. The tomatoes have gone, and the only source of income he's got is the money he gets through for his YouTube subscribers, patrons, and I don't think there's an awful lot of money in selling those shit t-shirts he used to sell. Fucking hell. And I actually did a video a long time ago, I don't know if you remember rightly, where I had different, I think there were different coloured counters or beans, I think it might have been counters, and I had patrons red and fucking YouTube green, and shitty merchandise blue, and they all probably go into one bank account, and I mixed them all up, and then I took out a proportion for financing the trip to Thailand, and within the handful of cash, handful of beans and magic beans or counters I took out were of course patrons' money. So to the fact that he said to patrons that all the money would be to go to churning out new content, nobody in their wildest dreams would have thought, until Kim Sylvia told us, that he was churning out inside different places of women's bodies who are prostitutes all over the world. Claims I personally confirmed and admitted all allegations made by Kim Sylvia in a Reddit post dated January 31st, 2022. At the end of the day, Kim just said, to be honest with you, he's been using prostitutes, he's gone over to Thailand, you know, blah 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 blah. And then I'm a bit confused about what bit that he said in his live stream that sort of contradicted what Kim said. I don't know. I'm confused. But I would like to see it. Claims that I once groomed a 14-year-old girl and attempts to disseminate and promote false and forged emails to that effect. Well, again, that's something I've completely stayed away from, because until somebody actually comes out and says, yes, this was me, I don't know. So that's for other people who are better than me to actually find out who these people are, check the emails and the timestamp, whatever. So I'm not getting into that. I don't know how long it'll be before I get my day in court and see the defendants either plead see the defendants plead guilty. Oh, can you imagine it? Chap. Can you imagine the Magnificent Seven and one are in the dock and they all go, yes, we all go down, for fuck's sake. Oh, plead guilty to or try to deny their involvement in circulating these lies. What I know for sure is that they will utterly fail, oh here we go, to justify any of these claims and insinuations, because each and every one is a total fabrication. I've just actually proved within that short monologue of mine that, sorry, they're not all fabrications, because he's admitted them himself. Some of the claims are more subtle than others. The comparison to rapists and allegations about sex tourism are clearly more egregious than claims about my salary and production cycle. But all were lies aimed at smearing my character, either outright or more surreptitiously by claiming I made more money through my artisan work than is justified, inevitably leading to a huge and ultimately crippling drop in patron support. In addition, and this is another point, is I remember a guy who's one of his top patrons actually putting up a video when Lloyd did his, his meltdown video. His response to that video was he was withdrawing his support, and it being a top payer, he was paying, God no, I think it was like maybe 250 quid a month to Lloyd to enable him to churn out more content. And he said he was withdrawing his input into that whole sorted procedure because Lloyd Evans at no point apologised to people like him who had been paying their good money to him, thinking he was using that money to the betterment of his so-called activism to bring down the watchtower. He still never apologised. So, God, at the end of the day is all these people, all these patrons who must have paid this guy a fortune over the past, 4 or 5 years or whatever it is, they have the, really they should be just saying, this guy did lie to us, he told us all the funds would be going to bring down the tower, and instead he was just, instead of trying to bring down something, it was all funny to erect something in Thailand and other places too. So, if you paid money to this utter balloon, I think maybe you should actually say, actually Lloyd, I want my money back. Well, that'll break his little heart, won't it? So it goes on to say, in addition to specifying the defamation, the lawsuit also seeks financial remedy. Here we go, from the defendant. Very good. I won't make public here how much money is being demanded of each defendant. Well, he actually already did. Remember, he sent out those little shitty letters to everybody, and I think I personally wanted €3,000 off me, and I think others seemed to be more wealthy than me, and I think he was asking €5,000 each of them. So he's not going to tell us how much money he's seeking as compensation, but I think it's more than €5,000. It says it says defendants, I won't make public here how much money is being demanded of each defendant if the court rules in my favour. Big if, that one there. I expect soon enough the Magnificent Seven will relish using this information to play the victim card and try garnering sympathy once they get their court documents in the mail. Oh, for fuck's sake. What I will say, and I'm looking forward to this bit, because obviously if he's going true to his word, he will say it in the mail, and he'll actually say, by the way, you on this video did this, and this was a lie, this was a fabrication, it was an untruth, and this will then allow them to finally see what sort of the basis individually the criminal proceedings is bringing against them, which gives them the opportunity to do videos individual, collectively, to say, okay, I've got them in the post here, and let's go through these. This is just going to, my God, you know, this is like a wee snowball going down a little mountain, and by the time, you know, it hits the bottom, it's like the size of a train, and is going to absolutely leave a trail of devastation through Lloyd Evans' defence, to be honest with you. I expect soon, blah, blah, blah. What I will say, having seen the numbers, is that the monetary numbers? Oh yes, it is. What I will say, having seen the numbers, so we're not talking big numbers here, so is that no amount of money can compensate me for what was taken by the twisted actions of these people. Kim Silvio and her mob pounced on one of the most traumatic and stressful events a person can go through in their life, the breakup of a marriage. I mean, it's potentially more unbearable for both me and my family. At the end of the day, to be honest with you, it's the same thing. He admitted to Kim what he did. He wasn't honest with us. He could have gone away, not come back, and repaired all the damage, and none of this was got out. The fact that he had the audacity to come back and still say, hi, I'm still the advocate against the cover-up of child sex abuse when Jehovah's Witnesses. He had the audacity to do that for other people for Kim and other people to go, what the actual fuck? And then that was it. That was the end. So they never pounced on him. He created this himself by not doing the decent thing and staying away from ex-JW activism, staying away from things that he could still represent people who were the victims of CSA within Jehovah's Witnesses. Instead, he decided that he still somehow could recover from this. So at the end of the day, no, they never pounced. They just came out and said, and Kim said, you need to know what's really been happening here, and for other people to say, what the actual fuck. And everything subsequently is because this twat didn't have the common sense or brain power to actually just go and stay away and just get on with what he says the most important is it with his own mental health, his physical health and his family. The fact that he decided to come back shows that in the end he wasn't concerned about his family or his marriage. It was all about him and his legacy and his reputation, and the fact that he couldn't be bothered going out and getting a fucking job to actually improve his own self-image for himself and his family. So, fuck off. The tsunami of lies and hatred directed me since January 31st last year is unquestionably the darkest chapter in my life. Far worse, oh, here we go, far worse than the loss of my mother at age 21. Fucking hell, she must be turning it in a grave at this point, and brought me closer to the abyss than anything else ever has. Well, apparently, he admitted when he was over in Thailand, before this even broke, he did attempt suicide, unless I've got that one wrong, so... yeah, and he went over there because he was on a mental breakdown. He said he needed a break, so clearly he was already in the abyss before Kim spilled the abyss beans. A bit odd. No matter how many months or years the legal process takes, I can see this is going to be glacially slow, I will see this through, not just because I want, here we go, playing the girls card again, not just because I want my two girls to grow up without having to deal with unresolved stains in their father's character. Now, I've said this time and time again, at some point his two girls are going to Google their dad's name, or somebody's going to go up to them at school or college or whatever it is and say, is your dad Lloyd Evans? Yeah, he is. Have you read this? What? Shit. What the fuck? You know? Dad, you remember that Christmas? Yeah. And then you went there at the New Year? Yeah. Did you leave Mum and go and date a sex worker in Thailand? Did that actually happen? Yeah. And were you seeing other sex workers 4 years before that every couple of months all around the world? Yeah. No, at the end of the day that ain't going away, because guess what? He admitted it himself, and that is not going away. It could have gone away if he'd stayed away, but he decided not to stay away. So unfortunately, if you have to admit to your two girls that you actually did the things you've admitted in a live stream video, and those girls sit down and watch it, you know, and it blows their minds. There's you know, regardless of what they think of their father, and regardless of what I say or what anybody else says, all they have to do is sit down and watch the video of their own father talking, and their own father thing when he was getting involved by that Andrew Gold, whatever his name was, and watch that where he admits that he dated a sex worker. All they have to do is watch that video and that other video where he's getting interviewed, and they need to not even look at any of my videos or anything from the Magnificent Seven. That should be enough for them to realise that their father is a greasy slime bag. And it would leave an undeniable, forever permanent stain on what they really thought of their father. He goes on to say, but because of ex-Jehovah's Witness activism will always be hamstrung so long as activists can be cancelled or exposed to character assassination by their own side with total immunity if their platform grows to a certain size. Well, we already know he was guilty of this himself, just doesn't like it when it's happening to other people. The cancerous, so we go, is his favourite phrase here, self-cannibalising toxicity within the movement needs to be repelled if we are to make meaningful headway. Future activists should feel motivated to step forward and continue the legacy, not your legacy, mate, the legacy of those who went before, rather than terrified of getting hit by friendly fire if they raise their head above the trenches. Oh, for fuck's sake. At the end of the day, the only, you know, this is a friendly fire is when your own side accidentally shoots you in the back or bombs you. You know, or, you know, whatever it is, that's friendly fire, your casualty. This wasn't friendly fire, this was a this guy literally shot himself in the head, or the leg, or the foot, or wherever you want to see. He did this himself, he shot himself. It wasn't friendly fire, it was a self-inflicted wound which he's never ever recovered from. It is with these motives that I push on in my resolve to clear my name. It will never, 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 never happen. Your legacy is ruined. It is why he has not... Lloyd, if you're watching this, fucking wake up, mate. Your legacy is gone. The end of the day is, and I think the reason why this has happened is, when you look at other people now who've cracked on since this, when Lloyd basically was the heavyweight XJW champion of the world. He literally ruled that ring and just battered anybody else who tried to get in. No boom, I'm the greatest. And then eventually, of course, there was a knockout blow. And he got dragged out of the ring. And other people became heavyweight champions. There's quite a few of them. When you look at the last video that he did in relation to the Jehovah's Witnesses, where they're timing and the Great Tribulation, blah, 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 all the revelations, literally I think he got 24,000 views on YouTube for a guy who's got over 100,000 subscribers. Yet when you look at other people who did similar stuff like Wally and all the rest of them, XJW, Caleb, all the rest of them, they have had more views. And I think when you look at the thing he did, it was only about 5 minutes long. So these other people with more views, and some of their stuff is like an hour and a half long or an hour long. He is now finished, and yet he keeps on going back into the ring, and he gets battered. He steps into the arena and he gets battered in the ring all the time, which is, I think, is a bit ironic, because maybe when he went to visit the prostitutes, maybe he paid for that service where they put on a strap on and then batter him in the ring. I don't know. Maybe. Figured I said that. So anyway, it is with these motives that I push on in my resolve to clear my name and hold the Magnificent Seven legally and criminally accountable. Wowee. I won't be making blow-by-blow rebuttals in the form of videos or statements as the legal proceedings unfold. I'll continue to keep my channel as drama-free as possible. I think we're way past that stage now. But I want to sincerely thank all who have been and continue to be supportive over this incredibly challenging period. The love, compassion and understanding shown by so many of you is deeply appreciated. All the best. Lloyd, please send me your money. Oh, sorry. I just put that bit in because clearly the money that is coming through patrons to do what he's doing now, it's not going to be free. It's, you know, I'm sure I don't think he gets over there what you do get in Britain, some places where you can get, you know, pro bono, you know, lawyers will do work for you pro bono. In America and over here you get legal aid where they look at your income and go, yeah, okay, we'll do this for you. I'm sure this is costing money, and the money is coming from, not from a job that he's doing, it's coming from the patrons who are funding him to go out and do his stand-up, non-comedic appearances, write his shitty songs, and host social nights in Zagreb. I'm sure the money is also going to that, and also to get him to dye his hair, go to the gym, have his own pad, and obviously to pay for his children's haircuts. Anyway, how long have I been on now? Oh God, that's probably the longest video I've done for a long time. If you've survived this long, well done you. But anyway, yeah. So there you go. I thought probably I wasn't going to do another Lloyd Evans video, and Lloyd being Lloyd, because obviously he became, because of Kim's finding out how utterly shit was his whole campaign, his own campaign of defamation, calling the Magnificent Seven criminal defendants when they're not, that criminal campaign of defamation, and Kim finding out by paying people to look into what happens in those Croatian court shows that it's been a lot of shit. So basically he's had to come out fighting, and he's obviously, to my ultimate person, he's going to get battered in the ring once again. And it's going to cost other people money to keep on allowing this guy to just keep on doing this again and again. Again, there's going to be more social media footprints. Again, this is all going to end out badly for Lloyd Evans, and the best thing that he could do is just really go away. Other people are doing it bigger and better than him, and he should just accept, like a load of people have accepted in the past. Like I've had to accept, I once had my own company, it was doing really well, and all of a sudden I was having to go out and get up at 5:30 and get paid £9.50 an hour to do a horrible job, working 10 hours a day. But I had to do it because at the end of the day, it's sometimes you have your moment in the sun and then you don't, and then from there on you're just trying to get by. He had his moment in the sun, and now he should just accept that that's the end of that, and just close down his channel, leave this up to other people who don't have this sex scandal behind them, and go and get a job. But of course we know that's not going to happen because it's not in his character. Narcissists never will do that. Anyway, I'm going to go off now and cut my lawn, so enjoy the rest of your day. Sorry that was a bit long-winded, but I've said it all. Yeah, see you later. Bye-bye.